This is the Rays POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Tampa Bay Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Tampa Bay Rays POSTCAST, your spot for instant Rays reaction after every single game. My name is Jonathan Shields. Make sure you guys go follow me on Twitter at Johnny10Shields. And it wouldn't be the end of a Rays season if we didn't get one more game of the bullpen just absolutely blowing the game. And that was ridiculous. I tweeted, I never get tired of seeing Kevin Kelly throw 91 right down the middle over and over and over again and expecting different results. I mean, it was pretty incredible, the location on all the pitches where he gave up the hits. I'm not going to lie. That was atrocious. And, you know, we're not even going to mess around. That's what we're starting with today. Yes, the offense did some great things. Couldn't do anything in the eighth inning to extend. And then Kevin Kelly came in and just blew the whole thing.
This is what you'll be talking about.
So before we get to the ninth inning, we have to talk about the eighth inning, where the Rays got bases loaded, nobody out, and was about, 15 feet away from Bob Seymour hitting a grand slam, which eventually leads to no runs. But you're up 3 runs with 2 innings to go. So you think that you're good, and you are indeed not good, because Kevin Kelly, once again, proceeds to throw the ball down the middle on every single one of these pitches. Like this one to Beavers, I wish you guys could go on ESPN right now, go to play-by-play, and scroll all the way down and click on where it says Beavers. The ball that the pitch that he threw was literally, you cannot throw it right more down the middle. It's pretty incredible. And that's why that's our turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Yeah, 91 down the middle is not going to get it done. So to be honest, I don't know if Kevin Kelly's going to be on this roster next year. There's about 4 or 5 depth bullpen arms I like more than him, to be completely honest with you. And he's had an awful season, which is tough, because he was really good for the Rays for a pretty long while. So yeah, that is obviously just about as tough as it gets, and something we've seen far too often this year. The Rays were in complete control, 18 base runners, man. I mean, the offense was humming. Still, they should have put up more than 5 runs, but 5 runs a lot of the time should be good enough to win, if I'm being completely honest with you. But Rasmussen gets to 150 innings, which was pretty cool. I thought that there was some really good depth, not only in the lineup, but with Schultz as well. Career high in strikeouts for him. But man, I mean, you can't talk about anything else besides Kevin Kelly throwing 91 right down the middle over and over and over again. And guys are sitting on it. I don't know if he threw his other pitch today. I don't know if he threw that sweeper today. I mean, it was literally 91, maybe a 92 sprinkled in there, just right down the middle every single time, man. I mean, just brutal to watch. But so I have this breakdown right here. Kevin Kelly threw cutter, sinker, fastball for every single one of his pitches. Yeah, not a lot of movement on that cutter. I'll tell you that much. But we'll get off Kevin Kelly, because at this point of the season, it doesn't really matter about wins or losses. It doesn't matter if you finish with, maybe for bettors it does, 81, 80, 78, 79 wins. It doesn't matter if you don't make the playoffs. It's all kind of down the drain anyway. And I think there's a lot of stuff that you can take from this game that are positives. One positive is that the Rays got 15 hits, and most of that production came from Jake Mangum Jr., Morel, Pistachios, Nick Fortes, Tristian Gray, who continues to be a stud, Bob Seymour. I mean, Carson Williams got a hit. Every single person that got more than 2 at-bats in the game got a hit. So the lineup depth was as good as it's been, and it's good because so Jake Mangum not on the roster last year or the beginning of this year. Hunter Fiducia not on the roster at the beginning of the year. Junior Caminero was. Chris Morel was. Rich Palacio was hurt for majority of the year. Fortes was not. Williams was not. Gray was not. Seymour was not. So I was literally thinking when one of the times Alex Jackson came up to bat, and there's not a single person that was in the field that he played with last year when he was with the Rays, because he used our DFA by the time Junior came up. And this was later on in the game when Yandy wasn't out there, but Yandy DH'd anyway. So yeah, a lot can change in a year, but it was good to see these depth options. I mean, I'm all for Tristian Gray being the Taylor Wallace, like, kind of utility man. He's not the defender that Taylor Wallace is at all, but man, all he does is get on base. All he has been doing is been getting hits. So that's been extremely impressive from Tristian Gray. But again, when you have 15 hits, you score more than 5 runs. And the Rays left a whole lot of meat on the bone. The eighth inning obviously really sticks out, but to me, evens out because Drew Rasmussen got out of a bases loaded, no out situation as well. But yeah, I mean, that's it. this game, thankfully the Rays didn't have anything to play for this game, because if this game would have happened now, Kevin Kelly wouldn't have been in there. Schultz wouldn't have pitched almost 6 innings if this game did mean something. But man, it was rough to watch it. Man, I mean, that last pitch could not have been more down the middle. It was quick. At least, the Orioles didn't waste a lot of time to put the Rays out of their misery. But again, it's tough to be positive after a game like this. It's tough, but when you look at positives to take away, is the Rays could potentially have 3 guys this year hit over 300, which is crazy. In that they're not going to make the playoffs with that. Jake Magnum's right there, another 3-hit day. He's been fantastic. Yandy's going to hit over 300. I don't know if we'll see Yandy again this season, which is sad. He'll probably be. It says he's day to day, but I would assume that he's kind of done for the year. And he's going to end up playing 149 games. Man, crazy good year for Yandy. Career high in games, a career high in plate appearances, a career high in hits, a career high in home runs, a career high in RBIs for Yandy. He has been just fantastic this year. So yeah, look, I think the Rays are going to waste a lot of good offensive production this year because they couldn't figure out the bullpen, and so yeah, it is it's interesting. I see this comment right away, and something I very much disagree with from Senator Rajewski. It says hitting 300 doesn't mean much when it's all singles. Getting on base is, outside of home runs, the most valuable thing you can do in baseball is getting on base. Chandler Simpson's job when he hits 300 is not to hit home runs. When Chandler Simpson gets a single, it turns into a double because of his speed. And then when you have Yandy Jr., Brandon Lau, in whatever order after him, that's his job, to get on base. So it does mean a lot. There's a reason why not a lot of people hit 300 anymore. It's not just because everyone's swinging for the fences, right? That's the case somewhat. That was more the case 3 years ago, but it does mean something to hit 300. It does mean something when Chandler this season is hitting over 300 and he has over 40 steals and he's played just 107 games. Like, that's impressive when you're hitting 300, when you have 43 steals and you've scored over 50 runs. That's impressive in the time. So yeah, I don't know. I won't say it doesn't mean much. It doesn't mean as much as it did 20 years ago, but I wouldn't say it doesn't mean much. It still does mean a lot. But we're going to talk about Drew Rasmussen, the season that he had, and we're going to look ahead to the last series of the season. Crazy to say, right after this. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here. FanDuel is making sure you're ready for a kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, win $300 in bonus bets used across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. This episode is also brought to you by Rougiet. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiet Go Long. Isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to RUGGIET.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's RUGGIET.com. Promo code LOCKEDONMLB. And make sure to use the code so you know that we sent you. As if you guys are in the live, please make sure to leave a like and comment. We'll be getting to the comments momentarily as the Rays blow yet another game in what's been a frustrating season in that regard. But who did not have a frustrating season? Drew Rasmussen, who throws a career high 150 innings, ends up with a 2.7 ERA, 10-5 record. Just fantastic, man. If Shane McClanahan is not healthy next year, he will be the opening day starter. And hopefully Shane McClanahan is back, so Drew Rasmussen can be that number 2, number 3 starter for the Rays, and just makes that pitching staff way more deep. So, and he just turned 30 this year. He's got a lot of tread left on those tires, man. Drew Rasmussen has been fantastic, man. Cannot say enough about the season that Ras ended up having for the Rays, man. What a bounce back year. A guy that's been through so much. Just continues to go out there, take the ball. 31 starts for Rasmussen too. Yeah, I know he had the time like today where 3 or 4 games where he was more of an opener right? But it doesn't matter when you're doing the stuff he does. And, he was able to be wildly productive for the Rays this season. But let's go ahead and look ahead to the last series of the year, starting tomorrow. It's an Apple TV game. I feel like the Rays haven't had too many of those. Adrian Hauser is going to be on the mound versus Shane Bieber. And the Rays haven't seen Shane Bieber in a long time because he was with Cleveland for a long time. And then he, unfortunately, had Tommy John last year. And then while he was rehabbing, he got traded to Baltimore. He's been really good with Baltimore, 3-2 with a 3.5 ERA. The Rays have not faced him, I don't think, since 2023. And in 2020, no, it wasn't even 2023. The Rays have not faced him in a few years. I remember he pitched in the wild card game. In the wild card game, he went 7 2/3, 3 hits, 1 run. So obviously that was big from Shane Bieber. But the Rays will counter with the last start of the year from Adrian Hauser, who will make his last chance to. It might be the last time we see Hauser in a Rays uniform, as Hauser this year is 8-4 with a 3.18 ERA. You guys know I've been a big fan of what Adrian Hauser has been able to do this year, and hopefully he can go out there and the Rays can go play spoiler. The one reason why, yes, it's frustrating for the Rays to lose, but I take more like Tristian Gray going 2 for 2, Carson Williams getting a hit, Bob Seymour getting a multi-hit game than the loss, right? Because whether you win or lose, it doesn't matter this time in next week when the Rays are sitting down on the couch watching the other teams play in the wild card round. So, it's going to be really interesting to see what that Rays back end of the opening day roster looks like next year. And I think a lot of these guys are going to continue to have those kind of chances. As we go to Douglas Bautista, he says, I know he's pitched better since being to Durham, but man, how many times have we witnessed KK implosions this year? 4 or 5 times to answer your question. So yeah, it's not great. And this one was the worst one because he just didn't have any movement on his pitches. It was just right down the middle every single time. And yeah, it's about as easy as it gets if you're a major league hitter to hit 91 down the middle, to be completely honest with you. So we go to Gary. He says, this game represents much the way it has gone for a good percentage of the season for the Rays. Look like they're headed for victory, only have it wind up with defeat in the end. Yeah, and this one should have been a win. I mean, the Rays thoroughly outplayed the Orioles today. And yeah, the Rays aren't good enough. I've said this, that they're not good enough to kind of overcome those differences. But expected batting average is a whatever stat. But the Rays today was 317. The Orioles was 230. It's just the Rays don't lose this game a ton. And yeah, I shouldn't say statistically the Rays shouldn't lose this game a ton. This year the Rays have lost this game a bunch of times. So yeah, as we go to Douglas Bautista, and this was really one of the keys in the game. 3 men on with no outs in the 8th and could have gotten a run across. But I can no longer stomach watching Kevin Kelly on the mound. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how much the Rays use like Fairbanks, Jax, Clevenger in this last series with nothing to play for. If you look at a positive, the Rays can continue to have a good chance at the lottery and get a top 5 pick. But yeah, as we go to Gary, says, barring a 3-game sweep in Toronto, the Rays are going to finish 2025 with the worst record than last year. Considering how well they played early in the year, this is a disappointing finish. It's a cataclysmically bad finish. If it weren't for the Tigers, you'd be saying the way the Rays have finished the season when they were 2 games back before that series, the Guardians, you would have, it's a disappointment. I'm not going to say it's a disappointment in the majors, but man, it is disappointing. The expectation this year for the Rays should be to make the playoffs. As we go to Puzo 2K, it says Kevin Kelly throwing 91-4 seemed high and over the plate. To bring them back out to close is disgraceful. I also don't think they have a ton of relievers available. Like I don't think Fairbanks, Jax, Clevenger, you said it was available today. So it will be tomorrow as the Rays can try to go play spoiler. As we go to Gary again, he says a series in Toronto this weekend will be meaningful for the Jays. The Rays usually play them well, so I'm expecting some good competitive baseball to close out the regular season. I agree. The Rays have always played Toronto well, and the pitching matchups set up well. So we'll go over the rest of the pitching matchups. As Joe Boyle will go up against Yesevich, who pitched really well against the Rays at the beginning of the year. And it's going to be Ian Seymour versus Kevin Gausman. And the Blue Jays are currently tied with the Yankees for first place in the AL East. They owned a tiebreaker. So if the Blue Jays go 2-1 against the Rays this series, they probably win the AL East, something they haven't done in a decade. So the Yankees play the White Sox today, who they'll probably beat, as they've beaten. The Yankees are really good at beating up on bad teams. And then after that, the Yankees go and play. They're on quite the streak. They play Baltimore. So yeah, it is going to be interesting to see how this ends up. The Yankees have a really easy kind of back end of their schedule to try to close this out. And the Blue Jays, how are playing the Rays, by no means are the Rays one of the teams Yankees or Blue Jays like, man, I'd way rather play the Rays. No, it's not one of those teams, obviously. But like Gary said, the Rays have been playing the Blue Jays very well. So Gary again, he says, I will take this kind of season from Yandy Diaz and Brandon Lau anytime. Josh Lowe has unfortunately been a disappointment. The outfield and bullpen will hopefully be addressed during that offseason. And I don't know if they need to do a ton to the bullpen. Like, their top 5 guys are really good. Like, they are really good. At the top of my head, like Padres and maybe the Phillies, when they're whole, have a better top kind of 5 than the Rays. But the Rays' top 5 is really good. Kevin Kelly's like the 7th, 8th guy in that bullpen. If you can solidify that, and obviously those guys don't have to be perfect, but just more consistent with Kevin Kelly has been this year. Yeah, I mean, look, the Rays have, and I've said this a million times, the Rays have lost more games that they should have won than won more games that they should have lost this year. And that's a big reason why they're eliminated from the playoffs with 9 games to go in the regular season. But now we got 3 left, and I appreciate everyone being in here. We're going to end it there. Again, tomorrow night game, the 2 afternoon games in Toronto. So, guys, this is the last 3 postcasts of the year. I implore you guys to join before this season runs out. So I appreciate everything that you guys have done for me this season. I appreciate you guys for being here. As we go to Alexander, because I meant to read this comment earlier. Carson being thrown out at home was a horrible send in that I believe it was the 7th inning. I agree with that. Yeah, that was a horrific send. He was out by a while. The Rays were actually got a single, which made it hurt even more that he would have scored in the very next batter anyway. So, yeah, that's kind of an underrated moment of the game as well. But we'll wrap it there. I wanted to touch on that comment from Alexander before we got out of here. But I'll be back here tomorrow right after the Rays versus Blue Jays game. I hope to see you guys then.